I gave a commencement speech in my state, high up on a mountaintop. They had 2 graduates. This school was so far away from any place else that they couldn't consolidate it. And so 2 graduates, 42 kids in the entire K-12 system. The joke in that school was everybody got to be valedictorian or salutatorian. But at any rate, so I gave the speech, and as I walked out, I was happy that these kids had graduated, but I said to the principal, I mean, can you really offer these children what they need? For instance, language instruction. He said, what are you talking about? He said, I've got we provide excellent Spanish instruction. And I said, where? He said, we have the finest Spanish, one of the finest Spanish teachers in the country. He said, right there. He pointed to a satellite dish. This is old technology. He said, she comes in every day from San Antonio. Interactive distance learning. So that technology has significantly improved. The lesson, I think, is very, very important. Now, we have to be prepared to come to grips with some things. I'm putting together what I call my museum of irrelevance. Top picture you all recognize. What you can't see, I really want to get it more defined, is the buggy whip. So the automobile starts to come along, and who is it that's resisting? They're noisy, they pollute, and so the buggy whip manufacturers and the carriage manufacturers. Anybody recognize, have memory of using one of these cell phones? That was the first cell phone, Motorola, 3.3 pounds, had a battery that would last at least 20 minutes, and you could sometimes make a call on it if there were any cells. The point was that there are times when technology moves rapidly past, and we're getting that time again. Let me suggest to you there's a third one that's about ready to enter my museum. The backpack. What are we doing loading our kids up with 25 pounds of books? I watched our children go out every day, they're now in their 20s, go out every day bent over, scoliosis of the spine starting early. Loaded with books that were already 3 or 4 years old. And no, this isn't a slam against publishers. Publishers understand what's happening, and the successful publisher is an information disseminator. But this is quickly going to be replaced by a device. I just happen to throw a Kindle up, but it can be a smartphone, it can be one of many devices. And that's part of the principles as well, is that all of our students have access to this. Does it make more sense that you can download every day what the most current knowledge is, or that we lock ourselves into the textbook, which is antiquated often before it gets to the schoolroom? Now, I'm going to leave these faces. These are 10 ninth graders, and I'm going to leave them up for just a minute because I want to make some personal observations. I picked up the newspaper today. You can do that when you're not running for office. I picked up the newspaper today, and I see where there's some very important discussions being held here. And I had the privilege of working with Governor Kasich when he was budget chairman, and I know him to be an innovative person, as I knew Governor Strickland before him as well. And with Governor Kasich, he's got a lot of energy, and he's got a way of really digging in and focusing on things. And as I picked up the paper, I saw familiar issues. Arguments about class size, about time, 180 versus 182 days. Other arguments as well. And I thought to myself, because I've been through all these battles too, these are very important. There's a problem though. They're last year's war, or the last decade's war. Because with technology has a way of leapfrogging and making possible solutions and moving us in directions where we don't have to be fighting. If we're fighting, are we fighting over how to make the last carriage? Or are we fighting over how to, in discussing about how to reach the goals that we know we need to make? And so I look at, for instance, the battle over time. There's some constants that you have. You have in education. You have the constants of students. They come to us as they are. And you have and one of the constants is money, but it's also a variable, and I'll get to that in a second. So you have a constant of students, and you have the constant of needs. We know we need higher skill levels and higher standards, and we have some constant on money. But there are variables as well. The variables are time, how you use it, and how much you use. The variables are money, how you allocate it. And the variables are delivery. How do you actually disseminate, impart, deliver education? And let me submit to you that if we get ourselves locked into fighting over the same variables as they are presently constituted, it's the GM moment, only this time GM doesn't make it. Because with technology now, it's not between 180 days and 182 days. It's between what's the amount of time that each student needs. And some students will need more, and some students will need less. And you know, with technology, you can adapt to that. Some students are going to progress at a certain pace, and you're going to need to be able to measure that pace and then immediately do the intervention necessary. Technology can provide you with that. Some students are going to need time, more time after class, other students aren't. Some are going to need time during the summer, others aren't. And so instead of arguing over 180 days, and we do it, it's a 180-day in West Virginia, we're no better than anybody else, but so let's talk about the time that's necessary. Same amount of time. My guess is in the state of Ohio, I don't know this, but it's true in every other state, so I'm assuming it's true here, is most of the reimbursement or most of the state funding is based upon seat time. Somebody's looking at how many students are sitting in a seat on October the 1st or whatever the magic date is, and then that district gets X amount of dollars. So now we've got a district that gets its money based on seat time and a student that's locked into a seat for 180 days, and that's how we determine whether or not there's a credit hour. But what if that student could actually complete the semester course in 90 days? What if the student could complete the semester course in 60 days and be ready to progress to the next step? And what if we're saving and cutting time? And so we have a competency-based system rather than a seat-based system. And then that begins to change. And what if we're actually, as Florida Virtual Schools does, making the ultimate bet and saying, I'll tell you what, reimburse us for online learning based not upon how long the child sits in the seat, but what their performance level is and whether they satisfactorily complete the course. So how do we change the variables to meet today's situation? And finally, I do want to note the importance of the teacher, because some want to say, well, this is about completely changing. Yes, the teaching role changes, not the importance of the teacher. Online teaching requires good online instruction. By the same token, 75% of this will probably be in a blended environment. That is a building like this, but with far different processes taking place. It will require an effective classroom teacher. That teacher may be meeting with that student 2 days a week instead of 5 days a week. That student may not be showing up at every day to that brick and mortar school. But the importance of teaching and the preparation of teachers is every bit as important as it is today. It's just what's the role of the teacher and how do we adapt that? So I've tried to set, so we're back to our 10. These are 10 ninth graders. And what we know about them is that if nothing changes, and those of you who have the privilege of elected office or being a policymaker, you have amazing, very critical decisions to make in this year and next year. So what we know about them is if nothing changes nationally, 3 of them are not going to graduate from high school, and another 3 are going to finish high school, but they will not have the skills necessary for college or career. They're going to need those remedial courses if they go to community college. So we're going to have 4 students that finish with what they need in order for themselves and to propel this economy. So that, once again, to me, brings up the choice. And it's a choice that every legislator faces, that every governor is facing right now, that the Congress faces as well. For these kids, the choice is real clear. Do we continue this pattern? So it's either to be boldly innovative or badly irrelevant. To make the decisions that truly are in these children's interests and move us forward, reflecting the skills, the technology that we have, or to continue doing things the way we've been doing them since this building was built, since the traditional education system was built, K-12 education system, and be badly irrelevant. I think I know what these children want. And the fact of the matter is that the state of Ohio and the United States of America can no longer, our economy can no longer function with 4 of the 10 doing well. The reality is that for both of us, for them and for us, all have to do well. And right now, in a couple of years, we're going to badly need them. Right now, they desperately need us, and they need the technology and the high-quality content and the innovation that we can bring them. Thank you very much.